Hello, Professor. Today I'm going to be talking about understanding cross-subsidy, cross-subsidization, and transfer pricing. Firstly, we need to understand what is specifically cross-subsidy and transfer pricing, and what is the whole idea of financial strategies that have to be used. So in this case, how are financial strategies impacting organizations? And they're impacting them greatly. For the use of different financial strategies, companies are able to maximize their profit margins by reducing the cost, or for example, adding more value to their products without additional investment, which allows them to improve their profit margins. For instance, one time we learned that in the situation between two banks, they were able to create an agreement that allowed them to have 24,000 ATMs instead of 12,000 each. And as a result, they were able to operate in two different countries at the same time without necessarily having additional investments or cutting down their costs. And then we also will understand how to utilize cross-subsidy, cross-subsidization, and transfer pricing, and the main purpose of how can these financial strategies and principles be used in real life, and what are their benefits and challenges. So in this case, looking at the cross-subsidy, it is offering a product or service at a lower price than the actual cost by subsidizing with a premium product, which is highly above the cost per product or service. And the perfect example for that would be airline industry, where there is a regular seating and then there is premium seating such as business class or first class. As a result, even though airlines may not be paying back their costs through the common seating, they are able to increase their prices significantly without necessarily increasing their costs dramatically by offering business class seats, which allows them to basically subsidize for the customers, for the other customers in the common seating areas. And then the purpose of this is to become more competitive within the industry, attracting more customers and diversifying their portfolio by offering more products and services. As I mentioned, instead of just one seating plan, there could be at the same time 3 or 4 seating plans within an airplane, and each one of them serves as a financial strategy in order to subsidize for one another and provide the airline companies with the highest profit margins possible. Taking a look at the cross-subsidization principle, in this case, it's very similar, as it is customers subsidizing for other customers for products or services of the same brand. And then the applications for that is that it's used to balance out profitability and enhance customer satisfaction. But it is very important to be careful when implementing that, because in some cases, customer satisfaction can be reduced because going back to the airline industry, for example, if the common seating is significantly cheaper quality and significantly cheaper value compared to the business class, people would not prefer to go to those common seating areas and would prefer a different airline that is offering better common seats compared to business class. And as a result, they would lose their customers, even though they were thinking that they're making the biggest profit margins in terms of their financial data. But in terms of their customers and in terms of their value that they're adding, it is actually reducing it. And also it can be applied to nonprofit organizations, which is a great example. For example, in this case, government is the one subsidizing for the customers who are in need. And as a result, they're lowering the cost for nonprofit organizations in order to allow for the people in need to experience the value of those organizations and receive a greater value of that. And then, as I mentioned, there are some challenges, and if it's not implemented correctly, it can lower customer satisfaction, can build conflicts, or reduce value for the product and service. And then when it comes to transfer pricing, in this case, transfer pricing is the prices with which stakeholders of a particular product or service are trading with. And it is a fairly tricky definition and concept. And therefore, in order to perfectly understand it, you would have to understand each one of those methods that is used within transfer pricing. And its main objectives is to have fair profit allocations and regulatory restrictions so that no one is trying to avoid paying taxes. And in this case, there is a comparable and controlled price, better known as CUP, where we're comparing controlled versus uncontrolled prices, and uncontrolled prices are primarily referring to the ones that are made between a controlled organization selling a product or service to an uncontrolled independent third party, and this way they're able to determine that specific transferring price. And when it comes to resale price method, it is pretty self-explanatory, which is the price of a product that was sold and then resold at the same time, similar to basically real estate, which is being bought by people centuries after century, decades after decades, and is being resold after that, and that's how that specific transfer price is going to be calculated. When it comes to cost plus method, it is adding a markup to the originally purchased product. And this is where we can see how inflation plays a huge role in terms of cost plus methods. In order to not only adjust for inflation, some companies would be increasing or adding a markup to their existing prices in order to create a sense of premium quality and an illusion, and in some cases not an illusion, of a more valuable product or service. When it comes to integration of such principles, we have to understand that cross-subsidy and transfer pricing go hand in hand at all times, because cross-subsidy is basically using those specific pricing that they're offering for the subsidized customers, and therefore transfer pricing is what determines the pricing that would be for the subsidized customers versus for the premium customers. And the aim of this is to maximize financial performance and reduce any risks. And in the conclusion, it is also essential to utilize these strategies carefully, as the drawbacks can easily outweigh benefits depending on the industry. As I mentioned before, it can create a lot of conflicts if you're just trying to make as much money as possible while ignoring customers. Therefore, the most important concept that you have to understand using cross-subsidization principle is that you cannot forget about your users and you cannot forget about your customers. You always have to think about them to make sure that they're getting the values that they're receiving and that they're staying satisfied without reducing your competitive edge over your market competitors. And then for future implications, there's global tax regulations and greater competitive edge and more loyal customers if implemented correctly, as mentioned right now. Here are my references. Thank you and goodbye.